After the release of the all-new Infiniti QX80, its platform sibling, the Nissan Armada, has also gotten a new generation. This is the 2025 Nissan Armada, or the Patrol as it's known in the rest of the world. And for this new generation, the Patrol and the Armada are as closely related as possible, especially with this, the all-new Pro-4X trim. For the first time ever, we are getting the off-road focused Pro-4X trim on the full-size Armada. Today we are down in Tennessee driving the new 2025 Armada. We'll be doing some off-roading with this Pro-4X, some on-road driving, checking out the exterior, interior, some of the details, technology, and talking about what it's like. In terms of the powertrain, gone is the V8. Just like in the QX80, we have the VR35, a 3.5-liter direct-injected twin-turbo V6 that is technically related to the VR38 from the Nissan GT-R, but here it makes 425 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. Now, this same twin-turbo V6 in the QX80 makes 450 horsepower and the same 516 pound-feet of torque, but here in the Armada, you can run this on regular fuel. You do not need premium, and it'll still make 425 and 516 pound-feet of torque. That is an increase of 25 horsepower and 103 pound-feet of torque compared to the outgoing naturally aspirated V8. We also have a 9-speed automatic transmission that is sourced from the Nissan Titan. It is available as rear-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. It can tow 8,500 pounds. So mechanically, it is rather similar to the QX80. Let's take a look at the new exterior styling with this Pro-4X trim that we've gotten a little bit muddy doing some off-roading. So for the new generation Armada, the Pro-4X has a fully unique front fascia compared to the other trims. It matches the one found on the off-road Patrol, giving it a more aggressive approach angle there. You can see the skid plate below and the functional tow hooks in the lava red accent color. We have a blacked out front grille with the lava red accenting in the Nissan logo. And unique to the Pro-4X are these 3 grille slats here. They're purely aesthetic, but unique to this trim. They all have the new lighting signature with the double C shape, kind of the squared off angular C design element that you'll see echoed on other parts of the vehicle. We have some muddy all-terrain tires. These are unique 20-inch wheels. You get either 18-inch wheels, 20-inch wheels, or available 22-inch wheels. Also unique to the Pro-4X is this black fender cladding here, giving it a more rugged, aggressive look, separating it from the rest of the lineup. On this one, it's blacked out here, but you can see also the double C shape on these side vents. We've got blacked out side view mirrors, blacked out two-tone roof is available, and you get this like floating effect to the roof with this D-pillar fin that kind of angles up here, capped off by this Armada lettering. It's in lava red, this orangish accent color for the Pro-4X. On the other ones, it can be done in silver. And this paint is called Alpine Metallic. It's this really cool kind of grayish green metallic paint finish here. All the Pro-4Xs we're driving are finished in the identical spec. And then coming around back, you have the double C shape also in the taillights, available full width LED light bar. All the lighting is LED now. The blacked out Nissan logo again with the lava red accent color, blacked out Armada lettering, the Pro-4X badge right here, and they've also hidden the windshield wiper underneath this like rear spoiler element to give it a cleaner rear windshield look. So a much needed refresh. It looks nice. It ties in really nicely with the Patrol. This is essentially what the Patrol looks like in the rest of the world, and the Pro-4X trim here is the most aggressive, kind of rugged looking version of the all-new Nissan Armada. Let's go ahead and take an interior tour of this Armada Platinum Reserve. Go ahead and hop in the driver's seat. Start up the vehicle. We have a digital rearview mirror there. Get a welcome sequence. So this has the upgraded 14.3-inch dual screens. The lower trims have a 12.3-inch dual screen setup, but this screen configuration is exactly the same as the one you'll find in the Infiniti QX80. We have wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, but it also runs a built-in Google system. So we can exit out of CarPlay and go back to the native system. You see the Google Play Store. We have built-in Google Assistant. Okay, Google, turn on my heated seats.
Got it. Turning on the seat heater for the driver.
You can tell Google to turn down the heated seats. You can have it change the temperature. So it's the full integrated built-in Google, or you can have, again, as I mentioned, the wireless CarPlay and Android Auto integration. So this is very familiar, having spent time in the Infiniti QX80. One big change, though, is instead of the lower touchscreen here for controlling your climate and drive modes, we have physical buttons and toggles and this rotary dial here, which I think I actually prefer to the touchscreen in the Infiniti. So we have the buttons here for park, reverse, neutral drive, air suspension, auto start on, off. But we have this rotary dial here now. So we have your regular drive mode. You can go to Eco. We can go to Sport, Tow. And it keeps going. Rock, sand, mud, rut, and snow. And then it rotates back. So I like having a physical control here. Same thing for your four-wheel drive select, traction control, and then your heated, cooled seats, your climate, heated steering wheel. So instead of that touch panel on the QX80, we have physical buttons here. So a differentiation between the more luxury and more, I guess, a little bit more tech-filled Infiniti version. But actually, I like the buttons here. We have a wireless phone charger, and again, they have that cool kind of like sand. This kind of bringing the Japanese sand Zen garden vibe in. So they talked about that a lot in the QX80. We have 2 cup holders up here. There's actually 8 cup holders and 4 bottle holders in this entire vehicle. So we have 1, 2. There's 2 more back there, and then there's 4 in the third row. We'll check that out shortly. And you can actually close this here, but not if you have a beverage in the cup holders. And a couple little Easter eggs. We have a since 1951 right there. That's the history of this platform. Although technically that would be the Nissan Patrol, right? And this is the Armada. So is it technically true? But you know, you get the point. We have the Armada lettering right here, and we have a couple different interior color options. There's one called charcoal, there's chestnut, and there's almond. So this one here with a 2-tone brown, some stitching here, and this like pebbled insert. There's a texture there. The seats have this really cool quilting effect to them. It's got these little diamond pattern quilting across. So that's a cool touch. And then the Nissan zero gravity seats, which are actually quite comfortable to sit in across the lineup. So they emulate the feeling of being in zero gravity, where you're very well supported, like you're floating, lowers the pressure points and so forth. And having done road trips in zero gravity equipped seats, it's not just a marketing branding gimmick. It actually is quite comfortable. These are also heated, cooled, and massage up front, being the top tier luxurious Platinum Reserve. We have the clipped sound system, so speakers here, got the mids and the subwoofer from the door, more speakers there. So it's a 12 speaker, 600 watt sound system. I showed you briefly the digital rear view camera, which is definitely the best in a full-size SUV, because when you put a bunch of people or cargo back there, sometimes it can be hard to see out of the rear windshield. So the digital rearview mirror is great for that. It also can eliminate glare from people who just can't seem to understand that you don't run high beams at night when you're driving in traffic. So it can eliminate glare of headlights and high beams for sure. So I'm a big fan of digital rearview mirrors. I think it's because I changed the drive modes, but this is the transparent hood view, I think, one of the different camera views. You can go to the ultra wide. Actually, you can make it expand across both of the screens. So this ultra wide panoramic view across both of the digital display screens. We also have the 360 3D view, and you can just pan around and see the vehicle. It doesn't match the spec, so BMW does a really good job where the rendered vehicle in the infotainment in iDrive is the spec of the car you have, even if you have like a BMW individual paint. This one, obviously I'm in a red one, and it's just showing a white one, but you can pan in live around this 3D model, which is pretty cool. It's nifty when you're actually trying to park, you're close to a wall, and it also just looks really cool, which is definitely fun. You have these shortcuts to jump to different camera angles too. And then the steering wheel is essentially the same as the one found in the QX80, and one of my favorite things is right side. This pad here, you see this little yellow-orange lit up light? It's got the left side filled in, so this is now controlling the cluster, your driver information cluster. So we got this little scroll wheel here. But if I press here, it now, the same scroll wheel on these buttons, is controlling my infotainment screen, the one in the middle. I can scroll around here to interface with the infotainment screen in the middle. So it makes this side multi-function. When you have a phone call, this changes to hang up and accept the phone call. Right now it's forward, backward track. On the left side, it's all controlling your ProPilot driver assistant stuff. This blue here turns it on. This is for lane changes, to accept that, changing your speed and so forth, distance, and then you have volume up and down. We We have paddle shifters here, Nissan logo in the middle. It is a heated leather-wrapped steering wheel. So again, a lot of stuff is very, very similar to the QX80. That's a little sensor that's watching you to make sure you're paying attention while you're using ProPilot. So we have the wireless phone charger here, but we also have USB-C ports all over the vehicle. We've got a interior camera. I can actually show you guys that if I go to dash cam. So it operates as a dash cam looking out, but also inside camera. Hi, right there. So you can record, you can take a photo, even if you're like, let's just say you forgot your bag in the car or something, you want to double check and you're not with the vehicle, you can use this to see the inside. But we also have it as dash cam mode, so you can see outside, front, rear. So built-in dash cam in the vehicle. And we also have biometric cooling. So it uses an infrared sensor to determine if your second row passengers, so let's just say your kids just finished soccer practice or something and they hopped in the back and they're really, really hot, it will automatically adjust the cooling, the fan speed to bring them to a more comfortable temperature. That's something pulled from the QX80, biometric cooling, and they say it's a lot faster at making your occupants a little bit more comfortable. So now let's go ahead and hop into the second row and check that out. Have the fixed side stuff for getting down. So we've got the second row captain's chairs right here with a small center console. It's not the huge one you get in the QX80 with the additional touchscreen, but you can either do a bench seat in the second row with the split folding or the captain's chairs like this one has. This center console here has more cup holders, another little phone storage area with USB-C ports, and you see more of that kind of sand texture, which is pretty cool. Similar quilting too, which is still very, very nice. Fold down the armrests, and then we have heated seats in the second row and your own climate control panel here and plenty more ports. And then you have the clipped speaker grill here on the side. No privacy shades here on the windows. More of that leather across the interior. Pretty good legroom too. I'm 6'3" and I've got legroom back here. And then we have third row. So they have increased the cargo and passenger space, and the third row is noticeable. I'm not going to crawl back there now, but I did in the Infiniti QX80, and I was actually quite impressed that as a full-size adult, you can fit in the third row, and it's not like a punishment for doing something wrong. We do have more cup holders back there, and that's got the power to open or to fold the seats forward so you can get in and out. And if you fold the seats down, you've got plenty of cargo capacity, which is important in these big SUVs. So there we go. A pretty, actually, more detailed than I planned originally, tour of the updated Nissan Armada. All right, let's go do some off-roading in the new Armada Pro-4X. So this is the closest we're gonna get to the rest of world Patrol. You have a unique front fascia that is matching the off-road Patrol, which you get in the rest of the world. And that different front fascia improves the approach angle, 33-degree approach angle. You get the standard adaptive height air suspension, which you can raise about 2 inches to max height. And with standard 9.6 inches of ground clearance and full height with the air suspension, you get 11.5 inches of ground clearance. And all of that allows for better approach, departure angle, breakover angle. We got a lot of rain here recently, so it looks like it's very muddy and slick. The Pro-4X in front of me was just kind of slipping and slided. I'm currently in mud and ruts mode, and yep, I'm feeling it right now. Oh boy. Come on, you can do it. We do have all-terrain tires, which is a change with unique 20-inch wheels, and the tires are specific to the Pro-4X, but they're, I feel like, lighter all-terrain tires, not like the most aggressive looking of all-terrain tires. They're 275/60 R20s specific to the Pro-4X trim. And they're very specifically making this a Pro-4X, not like the kind of more lightweight off-road Rock Creek that you have on the Pathfinder and the Rogue. This is a proper off-road intent vehicle, and to live up to that, right? So of course you have four-wheel drive. That is standard on the Pro-4X trim. You cannot get this with rear-wheel drive, but we have a skid plate underneath the engine fuel tank protecting some of the precious things up front with your powertrain. We also have functional tow hooks up front. They're in that lava red accent color that the Pro-4X gets. You also get those little accent colors both on the badges on the inside and a couple other touches like the Armada on the D-pillar out back, the lettering there. So lava red is the accent color of choice for Pro-4X. Also see stitching on the steering wheel and interior. So actual functional tow hooks up front. We have a locking differential out back too. You can control it right here in the middle. We have an actual button there. So again, trying to match the rest of world Patrol as close as possible. Oh boy, that looks very muddy and wet. Apparently we got like 5-6 inches of rain here in Nashville, which made the off-road course quite a bit more intense than it may have originally started. You see I've got the transparent hood view camera pulled up right now. Right. Making our way through there without much of a problem at all. All the new Patrols have this 8-mode drive mode selector. We've got the rotary dial here, which I like. In the QX80, it's in the touchscreen, and we're in mud and rut mode. There's a snow one. There's your kind of normal eco, normal. There's a sport. There's a tow. We're in the most off-road focused one here. And you also have hill descent control. So there's a button in the middle. It's like the, I guess, hill descent off-road cruise control, right? It'll help hold the speed. You don't need to control the braking on your own. I've tried that out before. So that kind of rounds out the majority of the changes for the Pro-4X. The unique front fascia is definitely cool. And of course, 4-wheel drive, adjustable height air suspension, and the cameras. We have lots of different camera angles, a couple ones for the off-road version. I think there's a exercise we're doing where they're gonna like block the windshield and we have to drive using the cameras. But right now with this, again, rather muddy trail, it's been doing it fine. You get a lot of torque from that twin turbo VR35. Feel it shuffling the power around. I just have everything in auto right now. So, woohoo! There we go, nice and slow. And then when going around, this is where the cameras are handy because I cannot see where I am going. We have a spotter there, but cameras are super helpful. I know exactly where I'm going. All right. Don't try this at home. This is not road legal. Obviously, you cannot see forward, but with camera technology, you can. This would be probably really embarrassing if I just drove into a giant hay bale at like 3 miles an hour. At least they're soft, right? Whee! That was actually a very soft landing when you teeter-totter over. Thank you, air suspension, absorbing that. I was expecting a little more jarring of a drop. And the one thing is, cameras never show how much angle and inclination we're getting. So hopefully these GoPros are showing a little bit of that. It's hard to convey how steep something is and so forth. So impressions of the Pro-4X off-road. I'd say it earns a name. It's got enough off-road credentials to handle what we just went through, and it is actually genuinely pretty muddy right now. I think the letdown might be the tires, just like on a sports car on a racetrack or autocross or whatever. Tires make such a big difference. These all-terrain tires seem to be on the lighter weight side, right? Not the most aggressive, but you have the air suspension, the tech in terms of the locking diffs, the drive modes and so forth, the protection with the underbody skid plate. Oh boy, here we go, getting through this. It is actually remarkably muddy right now. So I'd say, yeah, this thing is incredibly capable, given how much people in this market in America will probably use this. I mean, in reality, these will mostly still spend most of their time on road, but if you want to get to a campsite, maybe your ski chalet, or you just want to go have some fun on some light trails, the Pro-4X is here for you. It also helps that it's got the more rugged looks, both the wheels, tires, the fender cladding, the unique front fascia. So I think this is it's a fun, cool addition to the Armada lineup. And even though they're not using the Patrol branding and name, they're pulling some of that brand credential and identity from rest of world that the Patrol has earned through the previous generations. Whee! Oh, we're doing this obstacle again, or just run in a loop. All right, with that, we are going to swap out of this Pro-4X and go on-road with the new Nissan Armada. All right, we are now on the road in the Platinum Reserve. This is a new trim for the refreshed Armada. We never had a Platinum Reserve. It's the top of the line, most luxurious version. Pro-4X and Platinum Reserve are the two new trim levels for this new generation. And this really starts to blur the line between the Armada and the platform sibling, the more luxurious QX80. We have a lot of nice touches in this. If you order the Armada as a Pro-4X or a Platinum Reserve, you get the adjustable height air suspension, again pulled from the QX80, which allows you to raise and lower the suspension. And the Pro-4X is for more off-road clearance, but you can also lower it to make it easier for ingress and loading cargo. It also slightly lower at highway speeds for better aerodynamics. So that is available on the top Platinum Reserve or the Pro-4X. Across the whole lineup, we have retuned electric power steering now that's a bit quicker, and you actually feel the difference when you go from regular mode. If I toggle over into sport mode, the steering response changes, it gets a little bit heavier, the throttle response changes, and the air suspension tuning also changes a bit. We're on a curvy, scenic road right now, so we'll go through some of the turns. Again, this is not a sporty Nismo version of the Armada. We don't get a Nismo version. I'm fingers crossed we still do, because I've seen a lot of Nismo Patrols in the Middle East, and they're really, really cool. They look really cool too from the previous generation. But you know, it handles its size and weight fairly well. Ride quality is good. We're on the larger wheels, the bigger 22-inch wheels, but with the air suspension, it still rides reasonably well. When the pavement does get a bit choppy, you do feel the body-on-frame SUV truckness coming through, so a little bit more secondary motion. It's not going to be a floaty cloud-like experience in the Armada Platinum Reserve. Now, in terms of driver assistant technology, there's a pretty advanced suite across the lineup. For all of them, the base one is going to be a Pro Pilot Assist. That's just your adaptive cruise control and some lane centering. You can step up into Pro Pilot Assist 1.1. I don't know if there was a 1.0. 1.1 is a little bit more advanced. It's hands-on on the freeway, so you keep your hands on the steering wheel to help with the steering and, of course, the adaptive cruise control. But then you go up to the optional top tier, Pro Pilot Assist 2.1. That is the hands-free on a supported mapped road. So on the freeway, and when it's supported, you can get the little blue icon of the little steering wheel, and you can go hands-free on the freeway. Now, I've spent a lot of time in the QX80 trying out Pro Pilot Assist 2.1, and it's good when the roads are mapped. They have an actual map that shows you which roads are supported, and it's a little patchy, so there'll be random sections of the freeway where you're hands-free and all of a sudden it goes HD map under maintenance and you have to get your hands back on the steering wheel, so intervention is still required. But when you are fully hands-free, it's nice. It's supported. It'll take the turn, speed up, slow down, and so forth, handle traffic. Another caveat is when you do want to make a lane change, it will prompt you to make a lane change, a slower of traffic ahead. You have to press this button on the steering wheel to confirm and hold your hand on the steering wheel again. So it's not quite as advanced as GM's Super Cruise, which is available and across their lineup. I personally think Super Cruise is one of the best hands-free driver assistance systems. They have so many roads mapped, so Nissan/Infiniti still has a bit to go to get to that level of feature parity and the supported roads. I do remember in the QX80 when I was driving out to Chicago, I just randomly be like, you have to put your hands on the wheel. I'm like, maybe 40 to 50% of the drive I was hands-free, whereas on the same exact route I did in a GM Super Cruise vehicle, it was like maybe 95%. But you have those available. Some of the other structural changes that happen from previous generation of this is they really increase the stability of this platform, right? So it's 25% increase in torsional rigidity, 57% increase in lateral stiffness. And what's the point of all of that? Well, it makes it a stiffer, stronger structure, which is good for dynamics, but also like sound isolation and so forth. With this trim, we've got the isolated windows, the acoustic double laminated glass. So it actually is pretty quiet. Honestly, my biggest takeaway, now I am in a Platinum Reserve, but when I first started driving this on the road, I'm like, this is a very, very close impersonation of the Infiniti QX80, which is a good thing, being a Nissan Armada. Maybe not as good of a thing for the QX80. There's still some differentiating factors. You get a little nicer materials, right? This is just regular, just cloth headliner. You don't have the bigger lower screen here, which I actually like these buttons and the fact that I can just rotate my drive mode dial here. The sound system is going to be a little bit fancier in the QX80. This has the clipped 12 speaker, 600 watt sound system, but powertrain feels remarkably similar because it's the same platform and everything there. Now, in terms of value and how it compares with competitors, this is a 2025 model year Armada. It's going to be available pretty much now. End of 2024, they'll be reaching dealer lots. You can purchase one of these. The base SV trim starts in the $56,000 range, rear-wheel drive. So every trim, it'll be cheaper as rear-wheel drive. You can upgrade to four-wheel drive. And for all of them, four-wheel drive is an option except for the Pro-4X. You obviously have to get the Pro-4X with standard four-wheel drive. Now, the top-of-the-line Platinum Reserve, like I'm driving right now, starts at just under $80,000. And with all of them, you have more options to tack on. The Pro-4X is like $73,000-ish, so it sits towards the upper end of the lineup. So that's your pricing spread for the Armada, and it's about in line with what these full-size kind of flagship SUVs. We're talking the Chevrolet Tahoe, Ford Expedition, the Toyota Sequoia, these big SUVs. That's the price point they're at. They have higher priced luxury siblings, Cadillac Escalade for the Chevrolet Tahoe, you have the Lincoln Navigator for the Expedition, and you have the QX80 for the Nissan Armada. Is it a good value? When I compare it to the QX80, I actually think this is a pretty good value because the QX80 autograph I drove was well over 100,000, like 110, 115,000-ish in that price point. And yes, some stuff is nicer, but you get the same big screens here. You get essentially the same VR35. I mean, it's down 25 horsepower, but you can run this on regular pump gas. It does not require premium. I like the exterior styling. It's pretty bold and commanding presence. So it's hard to say something this expensive is a good value, but a lot of stuff this big does cost this much. The value proposition will be maybe a mid-tier SL trim with some of the options on it. The Pro-4X introduction is really, really cool. I think that'll speak to some enthusiasts. That was fun to do a little bit of off-roading in. But compared to the competitors, I did like the new Chevrolet Tahoe and Suburban siblings. You can have a V8 there. That's probably one of the last ones in the segment you can still get a V8. I mean, Ford with Expedition is EcoBoost. This is twin-turbo V6 only. So, in conclusion, I think Nissan did a very good job with this refresh. It was very, very much needed. Long overdue. The two siblings between the QX80 and this, a lot of similar feeling, and both required the upgrades that they got, and I think they did a good job with it. I do think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity not to call this the Patrol, because they talked about, the Nissan team talked about how they've converged the Patrol and the Armada. It's pretty much the same thing now. But the reasoning of keeping the Armada name is there's a lot of brand equity we have built up in the Armada brand and name. You know what else also has a lot of brand equity? The Patrol, right? So I think maybe a little bit that's my lens of having the opportunity to go to the Middle East a bunch and Dubai and seeing these modified Patrols in the previous generations of them. It's really cool, and seeing Nismo Patrols like I mentioned. So I think that would have been a cool opportunity. Toyota did it with the Land Cruiser name and so forth. But it is essentially the Patrol that you get in the rest of the world. It is a update, thorough update to the Armada platform that was needed. And it's, that new twin-turbo V6 is pretty torquey and strong. So there we go. First review, quick drive of the updated 2025 Nissan Armada. Check out my Infiniti QX80 videos too. Very similar platform made if you want a bit more luxury. Also drove the updated new Chevrolet Tahoe and Suburban recently. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.